Lily's secret treehouse. Come on, Mom, hurry. Lily tugged Maria's hand, pulling her toward the dense woods at the edge of their property. Sunlight dappled through the leaves, creating shifting patterns on the forest floor. You have to see it? Maria chuckled, trying to keep up with Lily's boundless energy. I'm coming. I'm coming. Just tell me what's so important we had to abandon the lemonade. Lily stopped at the base of an enormous oak tree, its branches reaching towards the sky like gnarled fingers. This, she announced, pointing upwards. Attached to a thick branch, dangling just out of reach, was a rope ladder. My secret treehouse. With practiced ease, Lily grabbed the bottom rung and began to climb, her small hands gripping the rope tightly. Maria watched from below, a mixture of pride and anxiety on her face. Be careful, sweetie. Lily reached the platform and scrambled inside, then leaned over the edge, her face beaming. It's even better up here. Come on, Mom. Maria hesitated, then grabbed the ladder and began to climb, her muscles protesting with each upward step. Finally, she pulled herself onto the platform. The treehouse was small but cozy, constructed of sturdy planks and camouflaged with leaves and branches. A patchwork quilt served as a rug, and a small wooden table held a collection of smooth stones and colorful feathers. Sunlight streamed through gaps in the leaves, illuminating the interior with a soft, golden light. The air smelled of damp earth and pine needles. Wow, Lily, this is amazing, Maria said, taking in the view. From their vantage point, they could see the entire backyard, the neighboring houses, and even a sliver of the lake in the distance. Lily grinned. I told you. It's my special place. Nobody bothers me up here. She grabbed a walkie-talkie from the table. Want to try it? Maria nodded. Lily switched it on. Mom to Lily, do you read me? A crackly voice responded, Lily to Mom, loud and clear. Treehouse secure. Over. The HOA president arrives. Lily shimmied up the rope ladder, the hemp rough against her palms. Sunlight dappled through the leaves, painting the interior of the treehouse in shifting patterns of light and shadow. She brought up a handful of smooth, gray stones from the creek bed, imagining them as ancient runes, each holding a secret message. She arranged them carefully on the windowsill, humming a made-up tune. A shadow fell across the entrance. Lily peered down. Mrs. Crabtree stood below, arms crossed, her face a tight mask of disapproval. The scent of her lavender perfume, usually faint, was overpowering in the still air. Young lady. Mrs. Crabtree's voice sliced through the tranquility like a rusty saw. What do you think you're doing? Lily gripped the ladder, a knot forming in her stomach. Just playing. That structure, Mrs. Crabtree pointed a manicured finger, is in direct violation of HOA Bylaw 37B, subsection 4. No unauthorized construction exceeding 6 feet in height. Furthermore, the unapproved use of natural resources, namely, that rope, is also a violation. Her voice rose with each accusation. Take it down. Immediately. But, Lily began, her voice small against the onslaught. I don't even live in the HOA. My house is on the other side of the creek. Mrs. Crabtree's eyes narrowed. Don't try to be clever with me, young lady. I know everyone who lives in this neighborhood. And that monstrosity has to go. Accusations and anger. With all due respect, Mrs. Crabtree, Lily began, a tremor threading through her voice. The property line is clearly delineated right here. She gestured towards the ivy-choked, rusting iron fence that snaked along the edge of her sanctuary. That marks the precise boundary. My residence isn't subject to HOA jurisdiction. A disbelieving scoff erupted from Mrs. Crabtree, etching deeper lines into her already prune-like face. Don't patronize me, dear. That dilapidated fence has stood there for decades, a mere relic of the past. Everyone knows properties on this street fall under the Willow Creek HOA umbrella. That's simply untrue. Lily countered, heat rising in her cheeks. I possess the original survey plat. My grandfather explicitly chose to remain independent. He deeply valued his self-reliance. Self-reliance? Is that what you call this? Mrs. Crabtree dismissed Lily's garden with a flick of her wrist, her gaze encompassing the riot of slightly untamed roses and the collection of quirky garden gnomes. It's a visual cacophony. And thanks to your laissez-faire attitude, my award-winning petunias are now plagued with aphids. Devastated, I tell you. A wave of indignation surged through Lily. That's hardly a fair assessment. I've striven to be considerate, but you refuse to even hear me out. My grandfather built this home brick by brick. He wouldn't appreciate this intrusion and these baseless accusations. Accusations? I am merely stating facts. And I absolutely will not tolerate this blatant disregard. Comply with HOA bylaws, young woman, or prepare for the inevitable repercussions. Mrs. Crabtree's voice escalated with each syllable, her complexion deepening to a furious crimson. I've encountered your type before, those who believe they're exempt, somehow different. But rules are immutable, a universal constant. The ladder is cut. Mrs. Crabtree's face was a roadmap of fury, each wrinkle deepened and darkened. That's it, she screeched, the sound grating like nails on a chalkboard. I've had enough of this circus. She turned sharply, stalking towards her shed with a determined glint in her eye. Lily, perched precariously on the edge of the treehouse, felt a knot of unease tighten in her stomach. What was the old woman up to now? Mrs. Crabtree emerged, brandishing a pair of enormous garden shears. The metal glinted menacingly in the afternoon sun. Lily's eyes widened. Surely she wouldn't. With a grunt of effort, Mrs. Crabtree reached up as high as she could, the shears snapping open and shut like a metal beak. Then, a sickening snap. The rope ladder, Lily's only way down, parted in the middle, the severed ends whipping uselessly against the tree trunk. Lily gasped, her hands flying to her mouth. The blood drained from her face. Now, Mrs. Crabtree said, her voice dangerously calm, perhaps you'll think twice before trespassing and causing such a disturbance. She tossed the shears onto the neatly manicured lawn. Enjoy your little fort. Lily stared at the frayed ends of the rope, dangling just out of reach. Panic seized her. She was trapped. The treehouse suddenly seemed much smaller, the leaves rustling outside like mocking whispers. A wave of dizziness washed over her, and the ground far below swam into focus. Fear, cold and sharp, pierced through her bravado. She was completely alone. A call for help. Static crackled, the only sound besides Lily's ragged breathing. She clutched the walkie-talkie, her knuckles white. Mom? Mom? Can you hear me? It's me, Lily. More static. Lily's stomach twisted. She pressed the transmit button again, harder this time. Mom, please answer. I need help. A burst of static. Then, a faint. Lily? Honey, is that you? You're breaking up. Relief washed over Lily so intensely it almost made her weak. Mom, it's me. I'm stuck. At the clubhouse. Stuck? What do you mean, stuck? Are you hurt? Maria's voice sharpened with concern. Lily could almost see her mom's brow furrowing. No, I'm not hurt. But Mrs. Crabtree, she took my keycard. She said I was a faker and didn't belong here. She wouldn't let me in the house, and then she snapped my keycard and then she left. Lily's voice trembled. There was a pause. Lily could practically hear the wheels turning in her mom's head. Maria knew all about Mrs. Crabtree. Okay, honey, stay calm. Where exactly are you? Outside the clubhouse. By the back gate. The one that needs the keycard. Lily's teeth chattered, despite the warm air. The shadows seemed to lengthen, stretching like grasping fingers. Okay, Lily, I'm leaving now. Don't move. I'll be there as soon as I can. The walkie-talkie went silent, save for the faint, reassuring hum of connection. Lily hugged it to her chest, the plastic warm against her skin. She wasn't entirely alone anymore. Mom to the rescue. Maria's hands trembled as she dialed 911. I need to report a possible kidnapping? The words tasted like ash. She choked them out, giving the dispatcher Lily's name, her age, her description, the address. The sterile voice on the other end asked endless questions, each one a tiny hammer blow against Maria's rising panic. We'll dispatch an officer to investigate, ma'am. Please remain calm. Calm? Her daughter was out there, possibly terrified, possibly hurt. Calm was a luxury she couldn't afford. Maria slammed the phone down, grabbed her purse, and bolted for the door. Her car keys fumbled in her grip as she unlocked the Corolla. The engine roared to life, a snarling beast mirroring her own fury. She sped down the highway, weaving between cars, ignoring the blare of horns. The houses blurred into streaks of color. Each second felt like an eternity. She pictured Lily, her bright eyes wide with fear, and pressed harder on the accelerator. Finally, she screeched to a halt in front of her house. Maria jumped out, her heart hammering against her ribs. The front door was still locked, untouched. She raced around the back, her breath catching in her throat. And then she saw it. The rope ladder, dangling uselessly from the window, its bottom half cleanly severed. A knot of dread tightened in her stomach. Something terrible had happened here. The police arrived. The wail of sirens sliced through the late afternoon air, echoing the chaos in Maria's backyard. 2 patrol cars pulled up, their flashing lights painting the manicured lawns of Willow Creek Estates in a disorienting strobe. Two officers emerged, their expressions carefully neutral as they approached the small crowd gathered near the base of the colossal oak. Mrs. Crabtree, her face flushed and her perfectly coiffed hair slightly askew, launched into her account before the officers could even speak. "I demand this illegal structure be taken down immediately. It's a safety hazard, an eyesore, and a blatant violation of everything," she sputtered, waving a trembling hand towards the treehouse. One of the officers, a young woman with a kind face, turned to Maria. "Ma'am, can you tell us your side of the story?" Maria calmly stepped forward, pulling a neatly folded document from her purse. "These are the property documents, officer. As you can see, this lot isn't part of the HOA. We're not subject to their regulations." The crickets chirped loudly, the scent of freshly cut grass now tinged with the metallic tang of anxiety. Mrs. Crabtree scoffed, her voice dripping with disdain. "Documents can be forged. I saw the moving truck. I know they're trying to infiltrate our community with their whimsy." She punctuated the last word with a dramatic sniff, as if whimsy were a particularly offensive odor. An apology and a new ladder. The flashing blue and red of the police cruiser painted Mrs. Crabtree's meticulously trimmed hedges in an unflattering, lurid glow. Officer Diaz, a woman with kind eyes but a firm voice, stood on Mrs. Crabtree's porch. "Mrs. Crabtree, destroying someone's personal property is a crime, regardless of whether you believe they are faking an injury or not." Mrs. Crabtree's face, normally a roadmap of disapproval, was now a canvas of mortification. Her mouth worked silently for a moment before she squeaked. But the regulations do not supersede the law, ma'am," Officer Diaz said patiently. Lily, standing beside her mother, watched Mrs. Crabtree wilt. Maria stepped forward. "Mrs. Crabtree, I think it's time for an apology." Defeated, Mrs. Crabtree turned her gaze to Lily. I was mistaken. I am sorry, Lily." And Mrs. Willowbrook. She avoided Maria's direct stare, focusing instead on a loose cobblestone on her walkway. "The ladder. I'll pay for a new one. A better one." The words seemed to be physically extracted from her, each syllable a painful admission of wrongdoing. Lily, surprised by the genuine shame in Mrs. Crabtree's voice, felt a flicker of pity. "Thank you, Mrs. Crabtree. Maybe, just maybe, things could be different now." Treehouse friends. The next morning, Lily's dad appeared with lumber strapped to the roof of his truck. "Project Stairway to Heaven begins now," he boomed, winking at Lily. They spent the morning measuring, sawing, and hammering. Lily held the level while her dad secured the first sturdy step, complete with a handrail. By lunchtime, a proper ladder, safe and solid, led right up to the treehouse door. Lily, breathless with excitement, ran inside and grabbed her megaphone. "Attention all neighborhood residents," she called, her voice echoing through the trees. "The Willowbrook Wonder Treehouse is officially open for business. All are welcome." Soon, a gaggle of kids materialized. Mateo, his little sister Sophia clinging to his leg, shyly approached. Even Tiffany showed up, her nose tilted slightly, but her eyes sparkling with curiosity. Then, Lily spotted Mrs. Crabtree watering her petunias, a frown etched on her face. Taking a deep breath, Lily waved enthusiastically. Mrs. Crabtree paused, her mouth a thin line. Then, almost imperceptibly, she lifted a hand in a tiny, hesitant wave back. Lily grinned. She scrambled up the ladder, feeling the smooth wood beneath her hands. From her perch, she waved again at Mrs. Crabtree, who was still watching. The woman didn't wave back this time, but Lily noticed the corners of her mouth twitch upward before she turned back to her flowers. Maybe, just maybe, things were starting to change.